Welcome to Weird Real Life Stories with Gina Gayle Gray, true tales of spirit, synchronicity, and soul wisdom. I'm Gina, freedom coach, counselor, and oracle, and this is where the unexplainable finds a voice. Here we tell stories that don't fit inside logic, stories like messages from the beyond, mystical encounters with nature, and moments so wild they make you question everything, and yet feel more real than anything else. These are the stories that expand your mind, open your heart, and remind you that the invisible threads are always working in your favor. If you've ever felt something, seen something, or just known something others couldn't explain, you're not alone. You're not crazy. You're connected. This is your safe space to trust what you feel, speak what you know, and remember who you truly are. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Gina Gayle Gray, freedom coach, counselor, and oracle. My intention for this show is to open the doorway to the unexplainable, guiding you into that mysterious space where the physical and spiritual worlds meet. On this show, we don't just talk about ideas, we share stories, because story is where real truth lives. Not only what we've been told, but what we've actually experienced. Communication is always happening between the physical and spiritual worlds. There's messages from angels, aliens, animals, ancestors, and spirit beings, and they're coming in always and in all ways. And I know this because my son Spencer actually wrote a book after he crossed over. The name of the book is Listen to the Silence, Messages and Miracles from Spencer, who never spoke words. Going to focus on the miracles today. Your weird experiences and stories are real, and I'm asking you to listen, integrate, and share. And today we're stepping into a story that begins in logic and unfolds into something much more. Today's episode of Weird Real Life Stories is called From Logic to Light, the moments that made Sasha believe in angels. My guest today is Sasha, a level 3 QHHT practitioner and a Life Between Lives spiritual regression facilitator whose journey didn't begin with belief. It began with structure, logic, and a very grounded understanding of the world. But through a series of moments she couldn't explain and eventually couldn't ignore, something began to shift. I had the opportunity to meet Sasha earlier this year during a trip to Egypt, and there was an immediate connection. One of those moments where you feel seen, heard, and known without needing many words. And I think you'll feel that presence and depth in her as she shares her story today. Sasha, welcome to Weird Real Life Stories. Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Gina. I listen to your podcast and I like the guest and the stories, but most of all, I appreciate the message that you're bringing because it's so necessary. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
My pleasure. And we are going to get into your stories today. And I love how when you sent me your summary and we first talked about your experiences, you used the word miracles.
Yes.
And I'm a fan of the word miracles. I believe in miracles. I believe the magic and miracles are here to support us. And so I'm really excited to start our conversation today with you sharing what I'm going to call miracle number one. And
Miracle number one.
miracle
Like
number one, this is the story about this mysterious, you received a group email.
Yes.
And yours had an attachment introducing you to Dolores Cannon. And no one else receiving that group email had that attachment. So can you start with that fascinating story?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was around 2011. I was part of the group Reiki healers, and our master, from time to time, would invite us to the park to heal the earth, and we all would receive this email when you see all the addresses. You know how it was before, if you've been that long here. And I received mine, and it has a mysterious, I didn't think it's a mysterious attachment then. I thought everyone did that. Everyone received that. And I look at the attachment. It was Dolores Cannon. I never heard about her before. Dolores Cannon speaking in Russian. I understood it's in Russia because next to her was a translator, interpreter was sitting next to her and translating to Russian what she was talking in English. And I like to see the face of this translator because she thought she's translating something woo-woo. It's like, is it what am I translating? But she did her job and she kept her face. From time to time, you can see this, like, what am I doing here? And I was so captivated by Dolores because she does that. Everyone who meet Dolores online or in person, if you were lucky to meet her, you know how captivating she could be. And I couldn't stop. I listened to a couple of, it was 12 minutes attachment. She did Silver River meditation, something that I would learn later as a QHHT practitioner to do with my clients. And I did it many times. And I went on YouTube and everything that was available, I watched. It was binge watching everything. I was so captivated by this woman, by the message that she was bringing, and by the method that she created. And I came to that meeting Sunday morning, Burbanka in Los Angeles. And first of all, I approached my teacher and I said, thank you so much for sending me this attachment because it changed my life. This is what I want to do in my life. And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? It wasn't any attachment there. So I went to a couple of people in the group and I did you see Dolores? Did you see the attachment? What are you talking about, Sasha? Like nonsense, like I'm delusional. And then I realized, okay, something is going on here. After the meditation, we spoke with my teacher again and she said, so what was it? And I said, it's about hypnosis. And she said, about hypnosis? This is very dangerous. I don't recommend you to go there. Don't do it. And you know, I usually I'm very respectful to my teachers, but here I inside of me I felt that it was an invitation, and I continued my search. She did actually plant the seed that I'm very grateful right now because understanding the I don't want to say power because it's not power, but the influence and capacity of this work. It probably came from that. So this was that story. Yeah. Later on, I
So,
continue, of course.
oh,
I did
yes,
this
yes.
and I approached that and I,
Yeah, I think it's fascinating that you received that, we'll call it pushback from one of your respected teachers, and it didn't stop you. It
no.
you trusted your guidance and you continued. What did it feel like when you started realizing at that event on that day that you were the only one that had received that message? Did it feel more like guidance at that point or just curiosity?
It felt like confusion, Gina. I
Okay.
was so confused because it's unusual circumstances. It's something that difficult to believe that it's true. And I questioned myself, maybe I made a mistake and I went to this email again. It was like trying to prove myself and trying to categorize things because this is what our mind likes to do with information that we don't understand. We try to fit it in some kind of shelf in our brain and it didn't match any shelf, you know? So I had to create. Some people, when they have, and I know from my clients, some people just decide, well, I just made it all up, and I'm gonna just decide that I'm not shuffling, I'm not filing it into my mind. But I decided I'm gonna create a little space there, and I'm gonna put this experience. Yeah, and I
I
found it.
think Yeah, I think another layer of fascination is the fact that it was being translated into Russian.
Yes.
And do you want to share a little bit about your Russian heritage and what, in your education, what you were told about angels and magical experiences?
Absolutely, of course. It's a complete different world, you know. In 80s, right now it's different, of course. But when I was growing up in Soviet Union, it was still Soviet Union, the country like that. And Ukraine was part of Soviet Union. And all education was in Russian. We were like, you know how it was. Uh, um, and it was very anti-West propaganda against, of course, United States. And it's funny right now when I talk about that because I live here and I'm a citizen of the United States. But we were told about Americans, that those are very primitive people. And the proof to that was that many Americans believe in angels. Can you believe they believe in angels when we know that sciences already exist, and only, people who are not educated, they believe in such things and miracles. So this was where I came from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And yet you did listen to that message.
I did.
And you, after you spent time learning, binge watching, as you said, Dolores Cannon, you then decided to take another training and do another form of hypnotherapy. Is that what I
Yes, I
remember
did.
correct? Mhm.
Exactly. Because I realized like how significant this work is, I decided I'm gonna go and I'm gonna learn first clinical hypnotherapy, because next to in our town we have a beautiful and very well-known hypnotherapy institute with a one-year program, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought when I finished it, I thought now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to learn the Lotus Cannon method. And when I started to learn the Lotus Cannon method, I realized that it's a very different approach to hypnotherapy. In clinical hypnotherapy, we believe that we as humans, we know what our clients need, and the clients know what they need, which is so opposite from true. Sometimes we are so confused. And talking like a higher self, it was something that we were not allowed to talk about. Energy healing, which was interesting. But still, the training was so in depth and amazing. Those tools I use, and I'm very grateful. One, when I was thinking about today's show, one memory came to mind. That one of the mentors from this institute, she said, when people learn and know that I'm hypnotist, other people that I meet, some of them become afraid of me and they don't look me in the eyes. Silly. They don't know it's in the voice. And I just remember that because it is in the voice, how we actually access things because the vibration is there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are so many things that have been in our programming that have blocked us from getting connected with our true inner abilities and our true, what I call our true highest self. And I know in the QHHT language, it's the higher self. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Yeah. Yeah, so I just love that you were chosen, and I feel you were chosen, and I feel that the angelic realm sent you that email, participated in that email that you would get into. It's translated into your home language, and there's just all of these things that they're not coincidences. They're
absolutely not.
they're part of the magic. And so the other hypnotherapy, I'm not familiar with the life between lives. Is that
Oh,
is
no,
that is
this
that
is
yet
a
another training?
beautiful. Sorry for interrupting you. I'm so excited about Life Between Lives. It's created by Michael Newton, Dr. Michael Newton. This I couldn't learn. I wanted to learn, but I couldn't because it was then given to only psychotherapists or doctors, psychologists. Um, and I couldn't learn that, even though I really wanted to. And this hypnotherapy is when your spirit guide is guiding the session and you connect to your spirit guide. Later on, when I had years of experience as Dolores Cannon practitioner, they accepted me to the institute and I was able to get my certificate and learn for a year. It's beautiful modality. I really like
Imagine that.
it. Yeah,
Just more of the angelic realm presence in
absolutely.
in
Yes.
in in your spiritual journey. Um, I want to ask you about what I'm going to call miracle number two now. So miracle number two, take us into that moment when you were in your kitchen and you felt the presence of Dolores Cannon. And I want to know, did you see her? Did you sense her? Did you feel her? Did you hear her? Was it all of those things? Share that
Uh,
story.
yes. So I was just finished level one and I did it online because I was very busy mom. I had a business and my kids, and I couldn't fly to the place to have. And I did it online. And after that, I was doing something in the kitchen, something mundane, standing with the plate. I remember standing in the middle of the kitchen with the plate, holding it, and suddenly I feel the presence of Dolores Cannon. It never before. Right now, it's so easy for me. I her. And this is how my information comes most of the time. It's by knowing. I just knew that she was there, and she wasn't in physical form. She was like suspended. And I looked at that area, but I didn't see anything. I just knew it's her presence. And it was quite short, a few seconds, and like a download came to me that it wasn't like you would expect someone comes with a beautiful man. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like her temperament and her language. We're gonna work together. We are the team, gonna be supported. That's it. And the presence disappeared. And I'm standing there with that plate. I think even my probably like that. uh, and the idea came to mind, oh my God, this is possible. I can connect to other people in that way. Uh, uh, I became extremely curious. Later on, we received the message as QHHT community that Dolores passed. And when I got this message in my kitchen, she was already transitioned. So, and it bring more meaning to that because I believe since then, she is present in my office when I do sessions. If I don't know what to do and what's going on here, I gonna ask her and I will get an answer. And imagining in the physical body, you're unable to be with your hundred of thousands, I don't know how many practitioners are practicing her method, but in a non-physical world, it's possible. And this is the next level of service that is going on here. And she kind of showed up to to show me that it's possible. Now I can connect to her that way. It's a great gift. It's a great gift.
So who were you able to share that with? Was it only other practitioners? Because at that time you had finished your level
Yeah.
one.
No
You
one,
weren't
no one. I just only shared with my husband.
okay, okay. So yeah, because I'm curious, and I'm sure you're curious too, how many others did
Oh yeah,
she show up in that way
yeah.
and share that message? I just kind of feel like she had like you say, the moment she crossed over, that her superpowers kicked in, and she had the ability to communicate and to transcend and to drop into people's fields and hearts
Mhm.
and give that encouragement that we're continuing on. This is now. It's not a thing to be sad that she's gone. It's a thing to be celebrating because now she's omnipresent. She's
She's more
completely
present
omnipresent.
than ever. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So only your husband, you couldn't share. Was it because you hadn't completely owned that or processed
Yes,
that yet?
absolutely true. Absolutely true. It was something that I would still explore and I would not trust yet. Because in this work, and not just in this work, in this life, and connecting to the divine, the big word is trust. I see so many people who start because I was there too, who start receiving messages, but the main question is it my mind speaking? Or is it a true message? How do I know? And just by receiving more and more, and by seeing that they um, proving themselves right, collecting that experiences, it builds our trust. So it's very true how you said that. I didn't think about that, that I didn't trust it that much yet. Only I will tell you the story that I didn't tell you yet, that when I started to really trust, I'm gonna, if you don't mind.
Please, please, yes. Please share.
So I'm a QHHT practitioner. I practice in my home, and my clients they sign up on my website, and the first time I see them is when they show up at the door. So the guy, uh, I know it's man. He booked a session, and I'm waiting for my client, and I see I have a grand staircase that leads to my house, and I see that two people are going up the staircase. The guy, a gentleman, like middle age, and a woman that I realize it's his mom. She's a short, very gentle, very sweet, like a little angel, but it's difficult for her, like 20 steps. And they're coming in inside, and I don't know what to think about that. And he comes and he says, Sasha, this is my mom. I want you to listen to my mom. She will have a session today with you. And I said, okay, of course, you're welcome. And then he continues, but she doesn't like hypnosis. She's afraid of hypnosis. Can you please not tell her that it's a hypnosis we're gonna be doing? And I cannot lie. Uh, let's continue. Now we start to talk, and I realized that she told me that she cannot hear me. She cannot hear me. I need to really raise my voice up. And I'm thinking to myself, we're gonna go into induction, and there I need to really use my hypnotic voice, and I cannot scream. What we're gonna do? Then she said, you know, Sasha, I cannot understand your accent. I thought, okay, we are here like this is a recipe for disaster that we are stepping into the session. But then I kind of, well, if she find me, if she showed up, I need to trust that I can support her. I'm gonna trust. Dolores, are you here? Yes, we're gonna continue. So we continue. She talks about her life, beautiful, amazing life, very simple lady, always helping everybody, poor but hardworking. When she was 12, her auntie gave her a sewing machine. And she told her, if you can sew, if you learn how to sew, you will always have bread and maybe a little bit of butter. And she's in her 80s and she's still sewing. And this is what she does. And the amazing person, very gentle, very not sophisticated, very true, very authentic. And I really want to help her. So we go into hypnosis and she cannot hear me. Remember, when her eyes were open, she could even understand what I'm talking about, but now her eyes are closed. And I had to scream the whole induction out, which is unheard of. You cannot put under by anyone by screaming. And instead of going to past life, she started to describe her childhood. And this is the beautiful pink tree that I was passing by every time. And she lived in a poor family. There were other families that are rich. And she didn't envy. She just, by passing their houses, she would imagine how wonderful the life could be. And this is a airport, just started airport in Greece. Her life was in Greece. She saw planes and she would imagine how people travel. A little girl. And we are like for an hour, she describing her current lifetime. And I am sitting there, like, what's gonna happen? But the most important things I forgot to tell when we converse, I ask her, what's your question for the session? And she pull out a little piece of paper, scrambled, and with her shaky hand, she wrote there, I wanna meet my creator with pencil. And I thought, this is not everyone, and it's quite unusual to come to the source in a QHHT session. It's beautiful experience. You don't want to go, you don't want to talk to your practitioners, you don't want to respond, you just want to be there. And how
Straight
can
to
we
the top.
get there? How can we get there if we miscommunication, like we are not communicating? And I am sitting there completely in what I gonna do, and I'm turned to Dolores. And Dolores, what we gonna do? And she's like in her calm voice, wait for it, wait for it. Okay, I was waiting another 20 minutes, and suddenly she sees the light, and the light comes in, and she is with her source. She spent like 15 minutes with the source. And I'm asking Dolores, what do I just wait, just be quiet. So, and since then, she was the only uh, client of mine so far that asked for a picture with me after the session because she wanted to remember that. And so many, she was so grateful, and I'm too. And this experience taught me to trust like nothing else.
Yeah.
4,
Well,
5 hours of that.
wow, I can see why. And this is so fascinating. And I was going to ask you to go into the story about what happened during your level 2 training
Oh
when
my
you
God, that's
were
right.
you were assisted with creating your hypnotist's voice.
Boy, yes.
This is the perfect time to stop here. And if you will agree to come back on so we can step into that story on another episode, everyone needs to hear this because it's just so interesting how it plays together. The importance of you creating that hypnotist's voice, and then this early session on with you learning that it's about so much more.
Yes.
And that trusting, you're speaking a different language, you're using a different voice because you're shouting when you're not supposed, all of that stuff. I can just hear the cosmic giggle because these,
Cosmic
these
giggle
things
like
that we think we know and these rules that we think we're supposed to follow, I hear the cosmic giggle all the time. So will you come back on?
absolutely. Thank you so much for this invitation.
Okay. Okay, well, we will. And because what happens in that next story we're going to tell, I call it miracle number 3, it goes to a whole nother level. And there's a physical component to it. And I really want to tell that story. So I want to invite anyone that wants to work with Sasha, go to her website, read her bio on my program page on Transformation Talk Network. What is your website, Sasha?
It's my name, Alexandra Tarakanov.com.
Okay. And people can go there, they can get on your calendar, schedule a session. I highly recommend that people do. I've talked to people who have had sessions, and it is a beautiful experience. So, for closing now, whether it's a winged messenger that lays eggs on your hand, like my experience, or a spirit with a message that arrives in a vision, or an out-of-body experience, or the receiving of light language, these weird real life stories are never just weird. They're whispers from the universe, reminding us that we're loved, we're guided, and we're part of something much bigger than what we can see. So if this episode touched your soul or stirred your curiosity, I invite you to share your own weird real life story with me. You never know who your story might heal. So until next time, keep watching for the signs and keep listening to the silence. This is Spencer's words. Just saying. Peace to you, and thank you, Sasha. Thank you for walking through the mystery with me on Weird Real Life Stories. I hope today's story stirred something sacred in you, something that reminds you your experiences matter, even the ones you can't explain. If your soul whispered yes at any point, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And be sure to tune in every first and third Wednesday at noon Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio for more true tales of spirit, synchronicity, and soul wisdom. To explore my holistic coaching, retreats, or tools for healing mind, body, and soul, visit anywheremindbodysoul.com. And if you're ready to go even deeper, my channeled book with my son Spencer, Listen to the Silence, Messages and Miracles from Spencer Who Never Spoke Words, is waiting for you at listentothesilence.org. You're not crazy, you're connected, and the story is just beginning.